So while we're getting started, can you all just introduce yourselves for a moment? So we'll just pass these around. Oh yeah, that works. That'll be that half and this half. Okay. Who are you, Sydney?
I'm Sydney Guillaume. I am originally from Haiti. I left Haiti when I was 11 years old, and I moved to the States in Miami, Florida with my family. And I'm a composer and conductor. Yeah.
And how long have you lived in Portland?
It's been 3 years since I've moved to Portland. From LA, I was in LA for 10 years, and before that, Miami, and before that, Haiti. Yeah.
Cristi Miles again.
Okay. My name is Joe Kai.
Kathy FitzGibbon.
Frank Garcia.
Theresa Koon.
Great. So we have some questions from the audience that have already been passed up to us. So I love this. It's like, how do you get a string to resonate an octave below, Joe Kai?
So using an octave pedal, I actually have 2 different octave pedals on my board. One that will help me go 2 octaves below, so get that like boom, boom, boom. And then another octave pedal that allows me to go 1 octave up and 1 octave below. Otherwise known in the classical world as cheating. Yeah.
Efficiency, I think they call it. That's good. Nice. Okay, this is the next question. Let's see. I'm reading handwriting. Okay. Ooh. Oh, this is good. So this is for Frank. Besides giving donations to ICS, what are the 3 main things that we can do to change our immigration policies?
Wow. Okay, 3. That's an easy question, right? Top 3. Well, I think, think about immigration in its entirety. We're wrapped up in this discussion now, what's happening in the moment, and it's a long, rich history, and one that I think has, it frankly makes me mad that the discussion is not civil anymore, and that it wasn't that long ago that the immigration reforms passed in '86 under Republican leadership. And if you download the tape, it's quite a civil debate and discussion. And it's one that encourages reflection, and one that encourages to look at the plight of immigrants and understand the courage that it takes to uproot and come to this country and ask for help, ask for hope. I offer this as well. And that's not what's happening now, is it? There isn't any of that kind of discussion right now. And you see these internment camps that are happening, if you will, families being broken up, and these kids without parents, without this legal representation. We have that. So I think you need to take this in its entirety and call out fake news around this, and really listen to what this immigration narrative is, not just the individual, the community, but the story. I mean, we are an immigrant nation, and I really believe in that, and we're all descendants of that, and the Native Americans who had the travesties of this beautiful country taken from them. I mean, that needs to be honored as well. It's complex. But don't take this single moment as something as doctrine and that this is real and that's it. Take the long view and try and understand the complications of it and challenge people to really pause and think about what they're talking about and hold them accountable if it feels like it's just fear-mongering, feel like it's hate, feel like it's just like, us versus them. Pause and push that. So think about that. And if you see that out in the community, please try and hold them accountable because there's 0 tolerance for intolerance, right? So that's one. I think the other thing is just to continue to push yourself to be informed and get engaged if you can in the way of advocacy. Legal work is very complex. It's legal work. And I find it difficult to help because I'm not providing that direct legal services. But I am becoming, more and more informed. I'm trying to understand the implications of why people come or what they're fleeing from and what those issues are. And the laws are complex, and they're not, it's not easy if you're just coming here for a better life to have, the laws don't really allow for that. So I think it's just becoming more informed in that way. And, getting out and voting, is really, really important. I think, registering to vote, getting out to vote, not just, following through with that and voting your conscience. And partnering with organizations like ourselves and Catholic Ministries and Ecumenical Ministries. They have an organization called, so they all have legal arms. And so there is a lot of advocacy that's happening here locally and statewide. It's just a matter of just saying, hey, I'm here, I'm present. You can sign up. We have a email listserv. We do kind of every 2 months a listserv of kind of call to actions kinds of things that are happening. We have a newsletter, so you can sign up and be part of the dialogue, and you can invite us to come to some of your events, and we'd like to collaborate. So those are 2 or 3 things that you can do, and if you know of folks that are in need of help, please call our phone number, and we'll do our best to give them a consult and get those clients some really solid advice, because they're looking for hope, and we want to, we're a lifeline to that, and we're really passionate about what we do.
Thank you, Frank. The next question was for our composer-creator friends here. So the question was about how long it takes you to write something like this. And I would add just sort of, what does that creative process look like for you for the pieces that we heard today? How did the idea come to your mind, the original impetus, and what does that kind of marination process look like? Sydney, you want to start?
Sure. So Réfugié mon frère it took me about 2.5 months to compose, and the text comes first. Well, actually, before the text is the theme. So it was commissioned by the choir in Miami, and the theme of their concert was an immigrant's journey. So they wanted they knew obviously that I was from Haiti, and they wanted a text about that. So I collaborated with my father, who's my lyricist, and my father wrote this beautiful text, and I ended up setting it up to music. And it took about 2.5 months. Yeah.
Ours is currently will be 2 years by the time that we produce it in the fall. Actually like 2.5 years. It starts with an idea. I'm a part of an ensemble, so there's 4 of us co-artistic directors, and so I came to them a while ago, maybe 2 years ago now. No, anyway, a long time ago. And I said, my act of resistance wants to be in form of a show. And so then they said, okay, because they're awesome. And then I just started traveling back home. So yeah, from inception, idea, to first production, generally for us is about 2.5 years.
Also, when will we be able to go and see the show, Cristi?
Unclear yet. I mean, we're searching. I mean, it's this fall for sure. I feel strongly about it needing to happen either in September or October before the election. So, yeah, that will happen. We're in negotiations with a co-producing company, which is why I'm being I can't tell you yet because it's not official, but soon. So, Pete, we'll make sure that our friends at Resonance know where to find us if you're interested.
We'll send out an email about it. So now that you're all on our mailing list.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Resonance, so Kathy approached me last summer? Yeah, last summer about writing a piece for this show. I think I procrastinated and in the name of research was listening to a lot of choral music and figuring out what I wanted to say. And started writing it in December and was finished first week of February.
Tons of time.
Yeah. I will say, I mean, as someone who left the classical music world, it's been a really amazing challenge to value what I have to say. I think in Western classical traditions, if that's what you've grown up in, it's hard to not think about what do they want to hear and how can I comport myself and assimilate to what I think is valuable music. And I want to thank you and also just Resonance in general for, I think, really encouraging me to be my authentic self and create what I find pleasant for me to listen to. So yeah, thank you for that.
That's really interesting, and that sounds very much like a kind of an immigration narrative as well, right? The sort of, and who am I and what do I bring and how do I fit into, or do I need to fit into a certain notion of what it means to be here.
I'm 32. Those days are gone, Kathy. You know,
You've mastered all of that.
I'm myself, and that's how it's gonna be.
That's good. That's good. I have a lot to learn. That's great. Good. Theresa, how about you? Oh, yes. Sorry.
Thank you.
The mic.
That's good. Well, like Sydney, for me, the words always come first. In some pieces, I write my own words, but in this case, of course, the poem existed and was very well known, and I think it's probably obvious why I wanted to set this particular poem. However, you may have noticed that there's 3 lines in the middle of the poem that I didn't set, and that's at the point when I brought in the foreign languages, saying the term mother of exiles in several different languages. So with a poem like this, it works best sometimes to speak it aloud many times and listen to the inflections and the pauses before you even begin to put any music to it. So that's the process I use, and because there was no accompaniment this time, it was a fairly straightforward practice, and it took about a month, I think, to set this one.
Nice. Are there other questions we can answer?
Can you tell us about your instrument?
That's an electric violin made by Yamaha, and yeah, it's just exactly the same as a regular acoustic violin, except it has no acoustic body, and instead it plugs into the system that I have. In this case, I have a wireless transmitter that goes from the violin directly into the pedal board.
Yes.
What's Joe's musical education background?
Yeah, I started in education background. I started playing violin in 4th grade in Seattle. Thanks to the wonderful music education program, the public school music program there. Started taking private lessons in 6th grade. Started writing very emo, heartbreak songs on guitar to my unrequited loves at age 16. Yeah, and then I actually studied more ethnomusicology and taught high school English and comparative religion. And then in 2013, I decided I love music and I need to pursue this. So that's when I left and started doing music full time.
I have a question for you. Putting your program together, what's your process? How do you make it all fit and still have one theme that goes throughout?
Thank you. Some of the program ideas come from a seed of kind of what I want the audience to feel, and what's the theme, sometimes it comes from a community partnership where there's a community partner who says, I'd really like a program to address this question. Sometimes it comes from a piece of music that I fall in love with and start thinking about how that connects to other big ideas, but it's always part of Resonance's mission and thinking about what we can do with music to tell stories that aren't often heard on the concert hall stage, and that's really important to us. But I appreciate so much that you said that, because very much one of the things that I think about when I'm trying to craft a program is kind of the emotional arc of the program, and when an audience member might need like a moment of a deep breath and a feeling of relief and repose, and when we can kind of push in a sort of deeper, darker kind of place, and thinking about how the stories will most be effective for your experience too. So I'm pleased. It sounds like that was something you experienced. Thank you. Yeah, I see a hand in the back.
Are there plans underway for next year's season?
There are plans underway for next year's season. I believe we're going to announce them in May. So we're getting our venues all lined up, but I'm looking, where's Liz? Liz, am I allowed to tell them anything? No. I guess you'll just have to join our mailing list. And but let me say, they're really cool plans for next season. We're really excited. We have some new partnerships we're really looking forward to. Yes.
Yes, I'm wondering, in terms of like legal information and some of that, is there any place to go to find out, for instance, just in Oregon, how many children are in this situation at any given time? And then what level of legal help do they need? Is it just any representation from even a student lawyer, just any representation? Or does it have to be something, really qualified to intercede? Are we just like waiting for this to change, or is it something, it's like, oh, there's a list of kids, and there are some people out there.
Yeah, those are really good questions. I mean, especially wanting to get involved and engaged as you unite the community. I think there's a lot of privacy issues that complicate that question and keep things at bay, but you could go to, I haven't have to do some research and find out if there's a depository of what the national number looks like. I know for ourselves, our caseload is 1,500 to 1,700 annually, but as far as kids go, that number is not representative of that. I know it's a much smaller number. And so I don't have that exact answer, but I do know that that situation is very real. It happens more often than not, and that they are in fear. They have very little trust. Whether they're an unaccompanied minor at the border or whether they've just become without a guardian because of an ICE raid and that family's broken up, they're in situations where they don't know what tomorrow will bring. And it's very humbling to be in this kind of work when I myself have 2 younger daughters, and we can plan and we can talk about what we're going to do at school tomorrow and those kinds of activities. And these kids don't have any of that. And we are their legal recourse. We're their voice of confidence. We're supposed to rebuild that trust all over again because it's just been completely destroyed. And so holistically, I don't have that total, but I think it's really understanding this issue, and that there's a series of truths that we need to bring forward as to the public to understand, what's happening at the legal level with all of our immigrants in our region.
Yes.
As I was watching it, and I haven't seen that clip before, but so if they're deported and they're at a company, where are they deported to? Or who are they deported?
Yeah, they are deported back to a family member back in their community. Okay, but in many cases, in like the unaccompanied minors case, where we have this wave of refugees coming, they are leaving because they are escaping something that has happened to them. And so going back home is not really option A. And many of these folks have family contacts here in the States already, and that's the preferred way of getting them connected and acculturated into our community. But in some instances, that's not also a good option. So it's complicated, but that's my answer to your question right now.
Good. We have time for one more question in the back.
How many instruments does Joe play?
Oh man, I play mandolin, violin, guitar. I love playing recorder. And sometimes I put that in my nostril and be like, nose flute. Yeah. But those are the main instruments that I would say that I play. Yeah. Great question. How many do you play?
I like to play piano mostly.
Nice. Mostly. Yay. Good job. Good job. Keep playing.
was Cristi's kid. Yeah. Yay. Excellent. Well, if you have any other questions for any of us, we're happy to stick around. And we just thank you all again so much for being here today and for your support of the great work happening in our community. Thank you, Frank. Thank you to these amazing artists. And thank you all.